Hello everyone, my name is Tribble, and finally I had some time to make this video, my thoughts on why Bard the Wandering Caretaker is such a strong champion for competitive play. And what we're looking at now is a CLG Afro Moose solo queue game. So I hope you enjoy the video, because he makes some pretty nice plays. And in the meantime I'll be explaining my thoughts to you guys. Now I'm not going to go through all his abilities. If you want to see what Bard is capable of, go watch the Champion Spotlight. Now, main thing about Bard is he's really squishy, provides a lot of utility, and he's a troll champion. At least that's what the majority of the league players say. He's easy to troll with because you can really screw up your teammates with his ultimate or with the magical journey, but we'll get on to that later. Now, the main point about Bard is, so if you had to describe Bard with one word, it would be communication. Bard heavily relies on communication. All his abilities have to do with communication. Now, if we look at his Q, the Cosmic Binding, yeah? How will he have to communicate this? Well, if you see your enemy near a wall or near a minion or something else of terrain or that which something that is killable, you can stun him. Yeah, you can stun him for a short amount of time, and that is when you and your teammate or mates go in. So you will communicate that, hey, I'm gonna stun this fucker right now. Right, bam, you go in. Now his heal, that little shrine thing, that also has to do with some form of communication, because you can make a play with that because you get a little speed boost, so you can engage. You can heavily engage with that. Yeah, if you have like a Vayne or a Graves or a Lucian perhaps that dashes forward or tumbles forward, and you got that little shrine there which gives him an extra boost in speed, well, that can really make, give your team a kill. So that's that. Then we got the magical journey, and I really want to talk about this one. Magical journey. What makes this one so strong? Well, the first thing is it goes straight to terrain, and you can avoid a lot of wards by using this ability. Plus, you can just move over your whole team and now also your enemy team through it. And when it comes to getting your enemy team through it, this is where you can really screw them over. Because one of the tricks of Bard is you use a magical journey, one or two enemies or even more, they go through it to follow you, and you use your Cosmic Binding, so that's your Q, and you can just stun them against the wall. Well, these are neat tricks that with some good communication, you can perhaps get a double or a triple kill even, if your team responds properly, if they will set up properly, yeah? You're invading a red buff, enemy team finds out, you use your magical journey to get into the dragon pit, enemies follow you, what happens? There are two more members of your team and they just screw them over. This is not something you will be able to do in solo. You're like, hey guys, we're going to invade this red buff now, so all you guys need to do is come to the dragon pit since we're going to drag them there. No, because they will tell you to fuck off because they're farming. Yeah? So this is one of the things that makes Bard so strong. You can set up these kind of neat plays. You can make a 2 or a 3-man gank together with your jungler onto a lane, because you can go through terrain and you can come out of the weirdest places. You can go into the enemy jungle and all of a sudden pop up in lane. You can interrupt a Baron or a dragon fight with your ultimate followed up by your magical journey, and then get into the pit and just mop them all up. There are several things that make Bard such a strong champion, but all of this relies on communication. When you're playing 5v5 and you got the communication going like, hey guys, alright, you want to set up a gank? Alright, that's good. What we're going to do, well, we're going to take a journey right here. So I'm going to put my E down here, and we're going to pop out of nowhere. For example, as you can see now, Afromu's playing the red side, yeah? And the bush behind the turret, as you can see to the left, if you stand there, you can pop out in the middle of the lane together with your jungler or your mid laner. For example, a good thing to do is, if your mid laner goes over for the blue buff, he is missing, and everybody will be like, alright, he's picking up the blue buff. And then all of a sudden, 3 people appear in the middle of the lane, screwing the bottom lane over, which means you got a free turret, and you got a dragon perhaps. No, you do have a dragon, so you got a dragon and a turret. So these are one of the plays that makes him so strong. You know, you can really change games with these plays. Not to mention, you can get the lane faster, and also one of the most important things about Bard is that he can place these little shrines of health across the entire map. So if you're having trouble with a laner, he can place those things down. So that's really neat. Now, something else about Bard which makes him so strong is that because in a lane swap there's a lot of roaming going on with the jungler and with the support, that you can pick up your chimes, which empower your auto attacks, of course, and they will really help you to, especially later on in the game, to CC the enemy team when you're trying to escape, or when you're trying to engage, even, you know, with the slow that it applies. So that makes him really strong. Now, that being said, let's look at the team fights. What makes Bard so strong in team fights? Well, first of all, my personal opinion is that Bard is really strong when you are building the cooldown reduction on him. And why I say this is because his Q is on such a short cooldown then, and in team fights you might be able to stun everyone non-stop with your Q. Everyone is on this little part of the map, you know, but you got like 2 or 3 lines. You got a front line, perhaps someone in the middle, and you got the back line. But the front line who's going to try to jump your AD carry, once they jump them together, especially now in this meta we see a lot of multi-tank compositions, you can easily stun them as Bard. You know, throw the shrine down while your AD carry repositions, or even better, you can use your ultimate, this AoE Zhonya's as I love to call it, onto the back line, while the rest of your team takes out the front line, and it's GG. And this is a really big problem, because this AoE Zhonya's, this ultimate of Bard, is such a high risk ability that if used incorrectly, it can lose you the game. And why I say this is because, so it provides like AoE Zhonya's, as I said, and that can turn team fights around. You know, perhaps you use it on your teammate by accident while he's chasing someone down, or he is in a duel, and that Zhonya's that you just used on your teammate or the enemy just reset his abilities. They were on cooldown in it, and they will reset because you give him 2.5 seconds of immunity. Now these are things that have to be well communicated. Hey, when are we going to use it? Oh, let's say LeBlanc just used her distortion, better not use it, just wait, you know, things like that, or whatever. It has to be well communicated because it can destroy your own team. On the other hand, as mentioned before, it can win games for you. Yeah, you can Zhonya's the back line. Maybe you want to Zhonya's the front line. Maybe you want to zone people with it, which forces them towards you so you can engage on them. Perhaps you want to interrupt a dragon fight or a baron fight, since his ultimate is on such a castable from such a long distance. You can easily put the Zhonya's down, get into the pit with the journey, and just mop up the team fight, or even challenge the smite on the objective. So again, these are all things that have to be communicated. You don't just do this in solo queue. Yeah, in your normal elo. I'm not talking about challenger, and even in challenger he doesn't have such a high win rate because of this fact, because of the fact that he needs communication, but it heavily relies on communication. Now, when we talk about sieging, how will Bard help? Well, Bard, his Zhonya's is also of course applicable on the turrets. So if used on a turret, the turret will become immune for 2.5 seconds, and that is the time that your front line can dive the enemy team and screw them up. And 2.5 seconds is more than enough time to either take the enemy team out or to get them low enough to retreat from the turret, giving you a free turret or inhibitor. Now, this is pretty much all he does for sieging. There's nothing much that he does, but you know which support do give you a lot for sieging. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So he's pretty strong there, considering his ultimate. Now, when we look at defensive, if you are playing defensive or getting sieged upon, how strong is Bard? Well, Bard is stronger as a defensive player than offensive because of his Q, because of the fact that he can stun people near the turret, because he can use the Zhonyas on the sieging party, and most probably they're not gonna all be packed up together as 5, so you will have the ability to kill someone in those 2.5 seconds while they're sieging upon you. Perhaps you want to save a turret. Yeah, you got 5 men coming in and your turret is on half health, and you just need that extra few seconds to get there. I use that Zhonyas and you save your turret while the rest of your teammates engage upon the enemy. You know, so it's a very versatile champion. Bard is a very versatile champion, heavily relies again on communication. And yeah, what else can I say? I mean, he's a great champion. I've seen him being played in LPL by PYL. I'll put that specific game in the description so you can check it out. Same for this game, for Afromoose, since we're not going to finish it all. And these are my thoughts on Bard. I mean, to round them up a little bit, I think he's very strong in a lane swap because of his roaming ability, giving you and your team so much gank potential, so much potential to contest objectives, even buffs or jungle camps to just appear out of nowhere. You can avoid wards, so avoid vision by using your your magical journey. I think he is very weak in a lane. That's why I said you need a lane swap, unless you got a very strong AD carry. What else? Well, I think he's very strong when you're sieged upon, because of his Q and his ultimate. And in team fights, I think that his stuns will be, yeah, game changing. Together with his ultimate, like what you can see here is that he missed the ultimate. You know, that happens. Some people will say like, oh, I missed the ultimate. Well, yeah, there's a big fucking circle underground, and there's an Ahri who can just use her ultimate to dash out. So, you know, it's just a very high risk ability. To come to a high risk, it is a high risk champion, especially looking at his ultimate, because it can make or break games. That being said, I think I've covered all. I think I've expressed my thoughts on this champion, and I hope to see him very soon in competitive play. I hope you liked it. Please feel free to drop any comments in the commentary section below if you got any tips or feedback about this. And if you did like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time. Cheers.